right, we finished up our comprehensive test over chapters 5 through 8. We'll be in chapter 9 this evening. Title there says The Conversion of Saul, chapter 9. So this is on the page 18, beginning at the bottom of the page there in your books. Number 1 says, Saul went to the blank blank and received authority to bind all Christians in blank. Saul went to the high priest. He received authority to bind all Christians in Damascus. We've always heard this was on the road to Damascus where this happened. Several years ago now, driving up, what is that interstate? Is that 81 maybe? Yeah. From Knoxville there. If you go across the line, go through Bristol, then you're on the road to Damascus. Damascus, Virginia there is Bristol, Tennessee. Just over the line as you come into Damascus, Virginia. So I remember being on a trip up there one time and saw, so we're on the road to Damascus.
It doesn't matter. You got to get the straight street.
Yeah, there you go. Is the street called straight? That's right. All right. Number 2, blank said, Saul, why persecutest thou me? Jesus said that. Number 3, Saul was told that in the city it would be told him what he must do. What he must do, okay?
What he's teaching here is, and he's going to allude to it throughout these questions, and that's the word, allude. But anyway, he's going to bring us along that what he must do. And if he had to do it, we have to do it. Not because Saul did it, but
correct.
And Paul did it, because that's what God wants us to do. That's what we have to do. And so he's going to say must. He's going to ask your questions in and out. When was he
right?
A Christian?
Exactly, yes.
And we always hear that he was saved on the road to Damascus. And as a church, we know that. It's true. But we have to be able to defend that. Apologetic, right? Yeah. And so there's a thing that what this, sometimes you wonder, what are we studying? Just,
right, exactly.
That's what I see.
What it's covering, exactly.
I get that.
Well, when we think about following the first century church and following this, the New Testament, this is one of those situations where these are the instructions that we are to follow. These are the important instructions. This is where we would go to claim, why we believe what we believe. And this is one of those areas. And there are numerous ones in different places. Obviously, they're all important, but this is one of those areas that tells us why in particular we do what we do.
Exactly.
From Acts 22 and 16, it says, read that and then state what he did in the city.
Rise and be baptized.
Okay.
Wash away your sins.
All right. So he was baptized, and he was baptized to wash away his sins. Okay.
Calling on the name of the Lord.
Calling on the name of the Lord. And that's important because we'll see that in other places where it says, call on the name of the Lord and you shall be saved. We now understand what that means, what it means to call on the name of the Lord, right? There's action involved in that. It's not just a verbal calling. Number 5, what had Ananias heard about Saul?
The harm he had done to the saints.
Okay. So was Ananias a little bit reluctant here? Was he a little bit, are you sure?
Just a little.
Are you sure? Obviously he was a man of God, the angel speaking to him here and coming to him and telling him what to do. So he was...
Pretty good authority, so...
Yes?
I can understand.
They still want to verify.
Yeah.
I've heard stuff about this guy. Yeah.
Yes. Here I used the word angel. It was actually...
Yeah, God himself, right?
Yes, the Lord speaking to him. He said unto him there in verse 11, arise and go into the street called Straight and inquire in the house of Judas and call on one named Saul of Tarsus, for behold he prayeth. Okay?
Our Lord's very involved in this. Very, very involved. So
exactly.
pay attention to the principles and the things that are happening.
Yes, firsthand, if you will.
Yeah.
And number 6, God said Saul was a blank blank unto him to bear his name before the blank blank and the children of blank. Okay, lots of blanks. So God said Saul was a chosen vessel unto him to bear his name before the and the children of Israel.
Everybody.
Yes. Wasn't anybody going to be left out there. Okay. Number 7, what did God say he would show Saul?
How many things he must suffer for God's sake?
Yes, how many things he must suffer for God's sake. Yes. Okay. All right, number 8, a good one here. How could Ananias call Saul brother Saul before he was a Christian?
Tough.
Okay.
You can make this tough, or you can just put it into how we would do something.
All right. What would you say?
The Lord told him to go.
Okay, so the Lord told him to go, call on him.
He was the chosen vessel.
Okay. Saul, he had been told that Saul was that chosen vessel for him. Yes? I'm sorry? By God.
By God.
Yes. Okay. He knew what was about to take place. Go ahead, make a comment there.
I was just going to say,
I would welcome that.
brother thing. You know, it doesn't have to be a spiritual brother. It can. We say humankind. You know, we're
Yes.
brotherhood because we're all humans.
Right.
And you know, if they're both Jews, that could be a different kind of brotherhood. It could just be, I'm trying to accept you.
Correct.
It doesn't have to be a Christian brother.
Right.
Specifically.
It doesn't, in this situation, may not particularly even mean that as we would interpret it to be a brother in Christ at that point. Yes, I agree.
That's the whole idea of this,
What's that?
that he's a brother, spiritual brother.
But he hadn't been.
He hasn't. Yeah, well, at this point, he was not a baptized believer.
Baptized.
Correct.
But the Lord said he was his spiritual. That's
He was his chosen vessel. That's correct.
So,
Yes.
but he had not become a Christian yet.
Right.
okay.
So at that, but again, it was, yes, I agree. It could mean it may not particularly mean that he was talking about him as a Christian in that situation. Okay. We know he was shortly to become one, right? And my answer there was that he knew exactly what was about to take place.
Yeah, exactly. And by who did it.
And maybe
Right.
that's why I said it, because he knew it was about to happen.
Right. Number 9, Ananias said that God had sent him to Saul for what? 2 things.
That Saul may receive the sight and be filled with the Holy Spirit.
Okay. So Saul, from this point, we didn't mention, but he had been blind. And he says here that he was sent to receive his sight and also to be filled with the Holy Ghost. Okay? Number 10.
This sight, wait, we got to
Okay.
stop on the sight thing.
Sure.
The sight thing is throughout the Bible. You know, you have to see, you have to understand what's going on. His eyes were open. We're told about our eyes and our hearts being open. Wow, my eyes got open to that. I understand now why you guys are doing this, or maybe I want to be part of this. And that's what I see here. He had to have his eyes open, and they were after he prayed and after he was
And after those things fell from
convicted. Right.
Yeah.
He was physically blind.
Right. Yeah, but then he saw the light. He saw the light on the road for a flash, for a minute, and then he saw the light of why this was happening.
Yeah.
Because God was in charge and he was calling him.
Just looking at that for a moment, I don't think this will get ahead of us here, but let me look back and read just a few. Of course, in verse 4, he says, Saul, Saul, why persecutest thou me? And he said, Who art thou, Lord? And the Lord said, I am Jesus whom thou persecutest. It is hard for thee to kick against the pricks. And he, trembling and astonished, said, Lord, what wilt thou have me to do? And the Lord said unto him, Arise and go into the city, and it shall be told thee what they must do. And the men which journeyed with him stood speechless, hearing a voice, but seeing no man. And this part here in verse 8 I like, because evidently Saul, when he had this experience, he obviously fell to his knees. Because here it says in verse 8 that he arose from the earth, and when his eyes were opened, he saw no man, but they led him by the hand and brought him into Damascus. He immediately fell down when he heard the Lord speaking to him. He immediately fell down, and I would say, you know, the first words out of his mouth was, what will you have me to do? Yes. So he was trembling, he was astonished, and he fell to his knees, obviously.
Humility, I think.
It was humility. I would think it was something of a worship type, you know, hey, I'm here to do what you would have me to do. So I think that's interesting, and we note that he fell to his knees, and then he had to arise to... It was a surrender, exactly. That's exactly the best way to put it. It was a surrender, yes. And at that point, I think he had no choice, but he had been shown for sure. Okay? All right, number 9 or number 10. How did Saul manage to escape from the Jews at Damascus?
The disciples took him at night and let him down through the wall and marched back.
All right, very interesting.
That's a good friendship.
The way they did that.
Big basket.
Big basket, yes, big basket. Saul to be fit into the basket. The disciples let him down, so they helped him escape and let him down through the wall so that he could get out. Now. All right, number 11 says, why did the churches throughout all Judea and Galilee and Samaria have rest?
He was preaching Jesus now instead of
All right, okay. He's preaching, say again?
I said, the persecutor was converted.
Yes,
All right. That's a good point.
preaching Jesus.
Very good.
He was out of,
What does it say there in verse 31? Go ahead.
no, he was out of business. He's out of the picture now. In the persecution business, he was in a new business.
Right.
And he was the head guy. He said he was the head guy several times.
That's true.
Sinners, obviously.
He was the head sinner, yes. Okay, they said there that they were edified, and they were walking in fear of the Lord. In other words, they were obeying.
And in
Yes.
comfort.
In comfort, I think that's because their persecutor was converted, yes. Okay, number 12. Those who lived at blank and blank saw blank whom Peter made whole. Okay, those who lived at where? Lydda and Sharon, okay. Saw Aeneas, whom Peter had made whole. All right. Number 13. Does, and Peter put them all forth, refer to the garments or to the widows, and give reason for your answer. All right. Let's see what you had on that one.
I was like, are we
All right. What did you come up with?
Only 39, he brought him back. So,
Aha. Okay.
you know,
All right.
bring the coats back. Get out,
Okay.
get out of the room, I gotta do this. And he did.
All right.
And he brought him back in.
So verse 40, it says there that he put them all forth. Is there a reason? I mean, it says to give a reason for your answer. Why do you think that he done that? Okay. He didn't want a crowd around for that. They knew that Aeneas was already dead. So there was no reason for anybody to actually witness it, if you will. I'm sorry. Dorcas. This is Dorcas. My bad.
Dorothy / Tabitha.
Dorcas, Tabitha, Dorcas. Okay, thank you.
I imagine the house was a little bit chaotic because it says they were all showing him all the things. And
Yes.
so we're not in a huge house more than likely. So maybe it was just like, okay, get chaos out of here. That's the way I guess I
I
got
imagine it was whaling, because they
Okay.
had
They
professional
were.
whalers back then. Not the ones for the ocean, but the whale, they went. They stood there and they screamed and yelled.
All right.
They were paid to do it back then.
Before this takes place, we notice oftentimes that that Christ likes to go out and be alone when he prays, right? And we hear him separating himself from the disciples on a number of occasions. And that's what I think Peter wanted to do here. That's kind of the reason for my answer. He wanted to, when he prayed here, he just needed a little privacy, like you said. It was probably chaotic, as you said, but there he says, he turned to the body of Tabitha and said, "Arise." And of course, she immediately opened her eyes and she saw Peter and sat up. Okay?
My name is not Tabitha, I'm just happy to arise. My legs hurt.
All right, number 14 says, blank men were sent from blank to blank for blank when blank died. Woo. All right, how many men? Two were sent from to Lydda for when Tabitha / Dorcas died, okay? So they went after Peter. So this situation here, Peter at the latter part of this chapter is raised her from the dead there. All right, so number 15, in Joppa, Peter stayed with blank, blank, blank.
He was in the city. That's where Peter was.
He stayed with Simon a tanner. So they were sent, from Joppa to Lydda, where Peter was at. Yes.
Now that may sound like, well, who's that? Simon the Tanner. Here's the left-handed story on that. When I moved here, got a job at the tractor place.
Yeah.
And the guy says, you got to get that part for Jackie George. He was there. I go, Jackie George who? Jackie George.
Jackie George.
Jackie and George, it turned out to be two brothers.
Yeah.
But that's, you assume you knew it, that was it. But that's who it was. It was Jackie George. Same with other guys, when they talk about that guy, you get the part for this guy, there's only one guy. That was it. So now take about a couple thousand years off it.
Yes.
Simon Tanner.
Simon
He
Tanner.
was well known then. That was what he did, that's who he was, that's the guy.
Yes.
And that's important for those people back then to know that. Maybe not for us so much, but for them it was important to, as they read this, look, that was...
That's who he's staying with. Yes. Oh, yeah, I know. Yes, exactly. Right.
Yeah.
It's like other times when there's healing involved, and the people were well known a lot of times because people had been going by them on the way too. And I think of the lame person there that was healed, and he was done for a reason. It was to teach a lot more people, because there were a lot of people that knew who he was and passed by him every day, knowing he was begging there and looking for a healing. Yes. Okay. True and false. Saul was planning to enter the synagogue at Damascus before his conversion and kill the saints wherever he found them. And that's false. What was his high priest permission to do? Yes, to bring them bound to Jerusalem, exactly. Number 2, Saul was already in Damascus when the light appeared to him. False. He was near to Damascus. He's near. Yes, that's correct. That's a good point. That's right. We say that, right?
The light went on.
Yes. Number 3, Saul was saved when the light appeared to him.
See what he's doing here?
Okay, so that's false, but you would think if that's possible, this would have been when it would have happened.
Yep.
This was Jesus himself making the light appear to Saul, right? If that's possible, it would have happened here, and it didn't. Certainly. Yeah, I mean, he called him by name. Yes. What would you have me to do? Yes, exactly. Number 4, the men with Saul stood speechless when the light shined round about them. Around about Saul, I'm sorry. Yes, they stood speechless. Number 5, Saul received food and drink and was strengthened as soon as he got into Damascus. False. He's making sure we read this, wasn't he?
3 days.
3 days?
Yeah.
3 days, yes.
It's always 3 days, or 7 of this. 3 days.
Seems to be the case, yes.
Always that. And that's how
Okay.
we get in alignment with everything that's going on.
All right, Ananias lived on Straight Street in Damascus. Was that his address? No. What did he tell him? He said, go to a street called Straight. Okay. Number 7, Saul prayed before Ananias came to him. Now, that's true. He said, what would he find him doing?
Praying.
He would be praying. And number 8, Ananias urged Saul to keep praying till he got through to salvation. Pray through, right? You've heard that statement before, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's false, I guess.
It's another lesson on this, so that we don't get confused.
Yeah, exactly. Number 9, scales fell from Saul's eyes.
Light scales.
Something like,
Okay.
oh no,
I knew that's where that one was going. I knew it.
something like that.
All right.
There we go.
There we go. That's what I said too.
I believe it.
I'll go with it.
Yes.
I don't think they were like fish scales falling from his eyes. I think they were something that looked like that.
Okay. It says, this is verse 18, and immediately there fell from his eyes as it had been scales, and he received sight forthwith. Yeah, I put true, but I knew that was coming. I knew that was coming. Yeah. Yeah, I agree. It wasn't actually scales. It was something different. It's almost like it.
Yeah.
All right. Akin to it. Yes, there you go. Good one. Saul was baptized after he received sight. Yes. It says forthwith. To me, that means right then. Saul stayed in Damascus a while after Ananias baptized him. Yeah, many days, I believe it was mentioned. Many days. The brethren accepted Saul immediately when he was baptized. Yeah, I put false on that one. They were, whoa, what? Kind of like Ananias was a little skeptical. Number 13, the Grecians became ardent admirers of Saul. False. Yeah, they wanted to kill him. That's exactly right. They were seeking ways to do that. Number 14, Saul was brought to Caesarea because the Damascus were planning to kill him. False. Who was it? Okay. But who was planning to kill him too?
The Jews and Christians.
The Grecians and the Jews, yes. It's okay. All right. So he was brought to, yes, to Jerusalem. That's right.
Damascus to Arabia and then to...
Yes. Okay. Last one. Dorcas made coats and other garments.
Watch out. Watch out.
I say true.
I say true.
Cloaks.
Okay. Cloaks, coats. Come on. Let's just get through this scales thing.
You got a teacher back there. You gotta watch.
That's right. What do you think? What'd you have? All right. Tunics or coats?
But it didn't say.
Well, the King James Version there in verse 39 says, and showing the coats and garments which Dorcas made. Yeah. Dorcas, Tabitha, yes.
Speaking of the parents' name, or I should say, clear back on, you know, about getting put forth in arts for limbs, and it says, send them all out. So you can't send garment.
Yes. That's okay.
Yeah.
The American Standard uses the verb there where she's talking about the sending them, but verse 40, but Peter put them all forth. He put them all forth. It says, the American Standard says, put them out.
Sent them out.
Sent them out, okay. Sent them out. So that made it more clear that it was definitely you can't send the garment out. Yeah, so it has to be toted out.
You can take yourself.
Right. So that makes it more clear for that one. Some of the others it makes more difficult. Yes. All right. I knew that was going to be a good chapter. Any questions, comments? It was fun. Well, I'm sorry we didn't have all the others here that was missing out, but it was a good study. Chapters 10 and 11 are together for some reason, so bear that in mind next week.
Continuing story.
Okay? So we can't stop in the middle. All right, we may have to stop in the middle. It might take us 2 weeks to get through that one. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.